Hello and welcome to our channel. This video is part 1 of the IPC series. IPC was drafted by the First Law Commission under the presidentship of Lord Macaulay. IPC finds its constitutional validity in Article 372 of the Constitution and it is in Entry 1, List 3 of the 7th Schedule. IPC contains 23 chapters and 511 sections. The code embodies the general penal law of the country and punishes such acts against persons and their property as are universally accepted injurious to civilized society. It also prohibits the acts which offend the fundamental principles which are prejudicial to the interest of the citizen and the state. The ultimate aim of criminal law, therefore, is protection of primary personal rights and societal interest. Let us understand the applicability of IPC, that is, where and on whom the IPC is applicable. According to Section 1, IPC is applicable to the whole of India. Section 2 of the IPC deals with intra-territorial jurisdiction. Thus, to invoke the provisions of this code, the offence must have been committed within the territory of India. The territory of India for this purpose is not only limited to its land and islands but also includes inland water, territorial water, underground space and airspace. Section 2 uses the word every person, which means Section 2 is applicable to both citizens and non-citizens. However, there are certain exceptions. Number 1. President and Governor. Number 2. Foreign sovereigns. Number 3. Ambassadors and diplomats. Number 4. Alien enemies. And number 5. Foreign army. Section 2 of the IPC is based on the maxim crime intrahet personam, which means crime carries a person, that is, offence is punishable in the territory where it is committed. Now, let us deal with the extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is incorporated under Section 3 and 4 of the Code. Section 4 provides for the cases in which the offence or the actus reus of the offence is committed outside the territory of India, but the accused will be liable to be punished in India. The cases are as follows. If the offence is committed by any citizen of India beyond the territory of India. Second, if the offence is committed on any ship or aircraft registered in India. Number 3, offence committed by a person targeting a computer resource located in India. It is important to note that this clause was added by an amendment in the year 2009. To make this concept more clear, let us understand it through an example. Suppose A, an Indian citizen, commits an offence of dowry death in a foreign country where it is not an offence. Such accused may be tried and punished in India by virtue of Section 3 and 4. The cases provided under Section 4 are punishable in India by virtue of Section 3, which creates a legal fiction and deems as if the offence which falls under Section 4 was committed within the territory of India. Moving further, let us understand the essential elements of crime. The first element which we all might have heard as a law student is actus reus, which means consequence of a human conduct which is punishable by law. For example, Section 302, death is the actus reus and not the conduct of shooting. The next element is mens rea, which means the mental element involved in the case. That is, for an act to be punishable, there should be a guilty mind involved. The last element is that for every offence to be punishable, it must be proved that it was the conduct of the accused which resulted in the actus reus. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.